Hello everybody, welcome to today's video, and if you haven't already noticed by the topic, today we're going to be talking about deranking in Dead by Daylight, and I wanted to get my thoughts on the topic out there because I do have a lot to say about it, and it is something that I am passionate about. So without further ado, I'd like to explain what deranking is first, and it is the act of either disconnecting or playing intentionally poorly in order to lose ranks. And deranking gives the player certain advantages when playing at lower ranks. They, in theory, get quicker queue times due to an abundance of players at this lower rank, and they also get to play against less skilled killers. Deranking has existed in Dead by Daylight for quite some time. However, it was brought to the light after a community figurehead, whose name shall not be mentioned in this video, but I think you know who they are by now. It's not hidden, they didn't hide it, after they recently announced on Twitter that they purposely derank to rank 10 from rank 1 off stream, and because they stream at off hours, they try to justify it by explaining that they can find games quicker. I'm going to be breaking down all the different reasonings that people usually give for deranking, and by reasonings I mean excuses, because all of this matter-of-factly is bullshit. And I'm just going to go ahead and state my opinion on this matter, that deranking intentionally is not okay. I think that means that you are putting the community in a worse spot. I think that you don't give the community any sort of respect by blatantly playing beneath your skill level. And if you do that, you are a loser and should stop playing this game. Throughout this video, I might use the phrase perceived skill a lot. There's a difference between perceived skill and actual skill, and your perceived skill is your rank. There can be a lot of variance between this perceived skill and your actual skill, but in theory, the more games you play, the closer your perceived and actual skill will become. So to get into the reason as to why people derank, the first excuse is that they want to find quicker matches, and especially so at off hours. And this argument is the most common and is actually somewhat understandable when the matchmaking system is bugged. And it certainly has been. There have been times where high-rank killers, high-rank survivors would take anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes to find a match, simply because nobody is at that rank yet and nobody can queue. This argument also occurs when people choose to play at ridiculous hours, such as 4 o'clock in the morning while in the United States. Most normal people that play video games are going to be sleeping, but if you're a content creator, it's just matter-of-factly your fault for choosing to play at this hour. You choose your schedule, and if you choose to play when nobody else is on, you can't be picky, because the only other people that you're going to be playing with are people that are crazy enough to stay awake until 4 o'clock in the morning to play this game. And it's completely on the content creator if they get to choose their own schedule, and if they are a partner streamer on Twitch, they more than likely can, to find a reasonable time where they're not going to be struggling to find a match. And it's just absolutely baffling to me that they would choose hours to stream at and to create content at, and then complain about waiting forever in order to find a match. The second argument that I see a lot of the time is rank doesn't matter. So the very easy counter argument to this is, if rank doesn't matter, why derank? If there's almost no difference in skill between rank 10 and rank 1, then you shouldn't need to go down all the way to rank 10 in order to find matches. So the claim that these people are trying to make is a very dangerous assumption, and it is also matter-of-factly incorrect. There is a noticeable difference in perceived skill and actual skill from going to rank 10 to rank 1. In addition to that, you ruin the experiences for the players that have climbed to rank 10 and wish to get to rank 1, because you're just going to go in there and just shit on them in the games. It's not going to be fun for the other side. It doesn't matter, because you're doing things that this player has just never seen before, and there's nothing that they can take away from the match, because it just feels as if they cannot do anything because they're not there yet in their development of their skill in this game to the point where they can understand the minutia of what you're doing as a D ranker. And by doing so, if you're a survivor who D ranks and do this, the killer will inevitably play more quote unquote cheap and in a way to effectively net them more kills. And this is a term that bad players often refer to as playing sweaty. Which brings me to my next point, which is scrub mentality. If you've ever read David Serlin's Playing to Win, you know that scrub mentality means that a player does not like and refuses to use a certain tactic because it is quote unquote cheap. Unfortunately for that player, the game itself does not recognize tactics or strategies. It recognizes wins and losses. The ranking system does not care about how you get to rank 1. It only matters that you're there or you're not. So to say that rank 1 and rank 10 are similar is just matter-of-factly not true. At rank 10, oftentimes you are still learning the game, most likely do not have all the best perks for the character, and do not have a fundamental grasp on the maps and strategies that killers and survivors should employ. And at rank 1, this is less often the case. I'm not going to say it's not the case because there are a lot of players that don't deserve to be at rank 1, but that's another story. And because 90 to 99% of the players at rank 1 have at least a solid understanding of the fundamentals of the game and can execute upon those fundamentals to at least some degree. They, of course, are still going to make mistakes, which is to be expected. No one can play perfectly, but those mistakes aren't as apparent or as game-losing as making a mistake at rank 10 can be. At rank 1, you also probably have at least a solid grasp on all of the maps that are able to be played and have good perk loadouts. You probably have rank 3 of the 4 perks you use most often. And the difference in mechanical skill now might be minimal at these ranks, but mechanical skill is not the be-all end-all. Decision-making, awareness of surroundings, these are two things that people don't talk about when they talk about skill, but they are important factors to determine how good a player is. The third argument that people give is that they don't like how their opponents play. And to be completely honest, this is quite frankly the dumbest argument I've ever heard of. The opponents aren't cheating, they aren't exploiting, they aren't doing anything wrong except doing their best to win. And I've heard countless times that a survivor's goal is to survive, so they are going to, of course, abuse the most oppressive loops and perks in the game to accomplish that end. But in that same sentence, they fail to address the other side of the coin, which is a killer's goal is to kill, so of course they are going to tunnel, camp, and use whatever perks they deem necessary to kill their opposition. So going back to my previous point, this is another instance of scrub mentality. And I know for a fact that many Dead by Daylight content creators have never played a game at a top competitive level. They don't inherently know what it means to play to win. However, this does not excuse them from the fact that people that play this game are playing to win, that people are going to try to do their damnedest to do so, and that people are going to try to get Merciless Killer at the end of every game. And there's nothing wrong with that, and there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. But just because you want to dick around and make a funny video out of it, it doesn't mean that the other side is going to agree to that. And by not trying to play to win, it just devolves into you insulting the other side and call them scrub terms like sweaty instead of just playing better and playing to win. And people are going to rebuttal this with, I just want to have fun. And yes, some people's definition of fun is dicking around, but some people get enjoyment out of winning, such as myself. I play to win the game. I don't play to dick around. I don't play to meme. I play to win the game. And despite the fact that this game isn't competitive, this game, Dead by Daylight, is not a competitive game. I'm not saying it is. There are still going to be winners and losers, and people wanting to win should add to the overall game experience and not detract from it. I'm not saying that playing for fun is wrong. I think it's fine, but if you play for fun, you cannot be upset when the other side is playing to win. And the final excuse that people use to derank is that they matter-of-factly want an easier game. And no one on social media is going to admit this. No one is going to admit this, but this is the reason why people derank. They want to win, but they don't want to try. They don't want their skills to be pushed to the absolute limit. They don't want to try to win. They don't want to play at their best. They just want a free win. They want to coast by and just take the free win that they matter-of-factly don't deserve. And this puts a massive burden on the opposing side because they perceive their opponent's skill level to be greater than them, despite the fact that they are the same rank, and they can't do anything about not being able to catch up to them, and they will have to, their hand will be forced to try to win the game by using other methods. And as a result, you are directly causing people to play more sweaty, and in turn have the players that play against the sweaty killer to play toxic in return, and this cycle will just keep on continuing. If a killer plays toxic, that means the survivor is going to play toxic, and if the survivor plays toxic, the next killer they play against will play toxic, and it'll just repeat. And if you want opponents to exhibit good behavior, you yourself need to do the same thing. When I stream, you rarely see me insult killers. Oftentimes, I go out of my own way to praise nice behavior and good play. On both sides, I praise good survivors, I praise good killers, I praise good play. And I'm sometimes one of the first people to congratulate a killer on getting a 4K, even if it means I die in the process. It means they played well, and they deserved it. And sometimes I get tunneled, sometimes I get camped. I mean, I get upset, of course, because I don't get to play the game, but it's part of the game. And the only thing you can do about that is either accept it or play something else. And by doing quote-unquote toxic things such as emote, flashlight, or teabag spamming, you are doing nothing but contributing to toxic behavior. And by playing against people at a lower skill level than you, you are enabling them to use quote-unquote sweatier tactics to try to win the game. And this is your fault as a D-ranker and not theirs. So now comes the topic of responsibility. If you are a community figurehead, you are responsible for the community, whether you like it or not. If you command a strong following, then those who follow you will inevitably emulate your behavior. People on Twitch, on YouTube, don't watch people because they have different opinions or outlooks on topics. They want to watch people that will reinforce whatever they already believe in. It does not matter what your intention for D-ranking is. Your audience will emulate your behavior and D-rank simply because they want to find easier matches. You are enabling that behavior from them, which in turn will enable more toxic behavior within the rest of the community. And this toxic behavior is just going to keep cycling, which I've already mentioned 3 or 4 times. And by deranking, you are just fostering scummy behavior that could be prevented. It could be removed from the game completely. But because you put your own personal enjoyment above that of the community's, you are telling your audience, if you are a content creator, that you do not care about the community and that they should do the same as you do. If you are deranking off stream, admitting to it, and then playing games against opponents that are significantly beneath your skill level, as is often the case, you are telling your community that it is okay for them to do the same. You're telling them that it is okay to ruin other people's experiences. It is okay to inflate your already massive ego by playing games against people that you know are less skilled than you are, and by showcasing that, you get this false sense of talent. And the combination of this does nothing but foster hatred within the community, and there's a reason as to why the Dead by Daylight community can be incredibly divisive between killer and survivor mains at times. They get a false impression based on how the figureheads for both sides interact with each other, and then they emulate that behavior. And there's a reason why I just cannot stand survivor mains. They're very entitled, obnoxious, and hypocritical. And the reason as to why they have this behavior is it's because it's instilled by the figureheads of the community which enable it. It is not their initial fault, it is the figureheads' fault for enabling this sort of behavior. So to conclude, as it stands, there's nothing that we can really do against derankers. I would like to see a competitive game mode where players can play to win, and an unranked game mode where people can try out funny builds and the like. People might say that this would split the community, but that's exactly what this game needs. This game needs a split community so people can play how they want without remorse. If behavior gave us that freedom of choice when it comes to matchmaking, this game and community would be in a better spot. But as it stands, if you derank at this point in time, you are bad at the game and are a loser, so fuck you. Of course, if you want to talk more about this hotly debated topic, feel free to drop by my Twitch channel. I stream about 5 times a week at reasonable hours at twitch.tv/COMATT6, and I'm always ready for a conversation about anything DBD related. So if you want, come in, stop by. I'd love to have a chat, as long as we keep it civil and respectful. I would be more than happy to address any of the concerns that you might have. Until next time, guys, I'll see you in the fog. Please go ahead and check out my Twitch if you haven't done so already. Check out my Discord if you want me to respond in real time if I'm not streaming. And of course, have a nice day, and I'll see you all in the fog.